Hello, everyone, and welcome to ATLFalconsUK show. I am Danny, and my co-host here is Cal. We are joined by Greg from Out of Our League podcast today, who we have done a show with before. So if you're regulars, then you should know him by now. Hello, Greg. You all right?
Yeah, man. How you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad. I mean, could be better after last weekend's game, but we're not too bad. Not too bad. What we're going to run through this show is a little bit about last game, the positives, the not so positives, and then we're going to jump into a bit of a preview for the Cowboys game. I'll get us started. Takes on the loss, boys.
That one stung. that one stung a lot more than I expected it to, especially considering I think I told you guys I was flip-flopping on whether or not I thought we even stood a chance to begin with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it stung worse because that first drive, especially the first offensive drive, it looked like we were changing our identity. We were running the ball. Everything was looking great. And then it just kind of tanked.
Very quickly. I think I personally didn't watch the game myself because obviously at work, but took a lot off with Danny and I've watched the highlights, etc. But even Danny, work was a bit shit when I went in basically. So I was going to listen to it on the radio. But I listened to the radio, but I put my phone on. It's like Danny's 10 minutes. She was like, "Oh, girl, he's already ran like 20 odd yards, etc." I was like, "All right, good. Like that's a great start straight away." And then
he only ran 20 more in the whole game.
I think that's one of the things. And I think the running game in the first quarter looked good, etc. But apart from that, I don't think there was much else. And I think it was obviously was down 14-3 after the first quarter. Then after that, I don't think we used it as much.
No.
Yeah, the way it looked to me was that, and since Dirk Cutter has come back, it's read to me like Dan Quinn keeps telling him to run the ball. And he goes, "Okay, I'll run the ball." And he runs it on first down, which is obvious to everybody involved.
Yeah.
And then then he starts getting behind, and then he's allowed to do what he wants to do, which is that air raid, air it out every darn play.
Yeah.
And that's when the team starts looking like they're supposed to. Where was that in the first quarter?
I think for a coach as experienced as him, though, he should be at the stage in his career where he's versatile in every style of play. And I accept that each coach has a system that they like to use, and that's absolutely fine. Every sport in the world, every coach has something like that. But you should at least have the knowledge and experience by now to at least tap into other stuff when you need it. Because when we're relying on Matty to ping the ball every single time, they're just covering deep every single time because they know he's not got wheels. Well, he's got wheels once a season.
The day we have to rely on Matt Ryan to run us into a championship, man, that's a bad day.
That's the day the world ends. So I feel like by this point in his career as a coach, he should be versatile enough to be able to dip into each kind of play. And I'm just not seeing that at the moment in time. And I really do hope it changes, but I've not seen it as of yet. Last season and definitely not last match.
It scares me, to be honest with you, because it seems like Dan Quinn's trying to hold on to that Shanahan offense with every part of him. And I'm sorry, we don't have Kyle Shanahan anymore. No. We can't run his offense anymore. And I understand we built an offensive line to run it, but we've had a couple years, man. It's time to get away from it.
It is.
Yeah,
I agree. It's a hard one. Sorry, Carl. I was just going to say it's just a hard one to take when I know we're great at the passing game, but it gets so predictable, and you just need the versatility. And we now have the players in Hayden Hurst, who's a hell of a lot more mobile than Hooper was, and a lot more physical, a lot more powerful.
That catch, man, that diving catch, it was a beautiful play.
It was. It really was. And that's just a glimmer of like what potential he's got for us. But the only problem is it was just a glimmer. Because after that, did he get 3 receptions? Was that it? Such a low start.
That was actually one of my biggest aggravations of the game outside of the Falcons literally just shooting himself in the foot time and time again. It looked to me, I'm not a ref, but it looked to me like Hayden Hurst was getting slammed before the ball made it into his hands every single play. And at the end of the game, he was frustrated. He was screaming at the refs, and it can't just be us that saw that. It can't be.
It seems a little bit biased as well, considering we give away a foul and lost the ball for 23 yards, and then it was at our 8, and that's when they got one of their touchdowns. And that scenario happened to us on multiple occasions. And obviously we're going to be a little bit biased and say that it was definitely a foul, but I'm sure some of them were fouls. Like, I'm almost certain, even looking from another perspective. So it's very frustrating.
So we'll move on to the 0 out of 4 fourth downs, which was a massive. Like, obviously, I didn't watch it, but like, what? It's a bit hard what to say. I think later in the game you understand it more because you're chasing the game, so you go for it. But to do it in the, I think it was the first one, like 4th and 4, so it wasn't even like 4 inches is a bit different, but 4 and 4. I don't even know what to say. I think it's just one of them. Like, why? Just 2 of them went for touchdowns. So if
whilst
you
we're
take
all in shock,
points away, it's a lot closer game straight away.
Exactly. Whilst we're all in shock, what I'll do is I'll go back to the comments from earlier. So how we said that our first play and first 2 plays were running plays all the time and it got really predictable. That's exactly what happened. So because it was like he was being instructed to play with running plays first, we were making 2 yards. We made a yard. And then you get to 3rd and 4th down and you've still got to make 75% of your yards. And that's when everyone starts panicking. And that's when you're pinging the ball or you're getting the 4th down and you're still miles away. And that's because Cotter's been having to try and adapt to a style that's just not for him at all. That's exactly what's happening.
He came out and said, I don't remember which reporter it was, but someone got him to say, are you planning on being continue to do what you did on 4th down? And he said, we're going to continue to be bold. And I think my favorite tweet was, is bold mean dumb as hell? Because, like, you're really accomplishing it, man. But believe it or not, the fake punt, the last attempt, I loved that call. I was jumping up and down, and it worked until he fumbled.
It would have worked.
He got the yardage. He got, so that was the irritating thing. But Dan Quinn, I think he showed his hand on how little he trusts Younghoe Koo.
Yes.
I think that's what happened. Because Matt Bryant would have trotted out and kicked that field goal every single time.
Was it a 50? Because this is what I worked out the other day because I didn't know. Because it's like, say if it's 40 yards, it was at the 40-yard line. So you had like 17 yards on.
Correct.
Which I didn't know. I don't know if Danny knew about that. So that's a 57-yard, and I don't know what his highest is, but surely you either bring another kicker in so just for the longer yards, or you trust him and give him a go.
Well,
I don't.
This is a topic that was discussed in the off season that nobody really had faith in Koo's longer kicks. Yet in that game, he kicked 2 for 49 yards, I think, which is pretty solid, really. And it was mentioned in the off season by Dan Quinn as well that he said Hoff might be able to eventually ease into the role of the longer kicks, which seems weird for me as a punter. I don't like that, but that's to me where you bring in another kicker that's more experienced, that's been in the league for 10, 15 years, low contract, just once a year. And if he's either the man to take the kicks or he's the one going to Koo, right, this is where you need to practice, this is where you need to do anything. Whereas at the minute, if Koo has a poor performance now, who's there to challenge him? He knows he walks onto the field the next game. There's nothing going on. So I don't understand that move when we've still got the cap space.
That's what's killing me right now. We have $8 million sitting right there, ready to go to somebody. It could have gone to an Everson Griffin. It could have gone, Jadeveon Clowney if you could have argued him down for a year. I don't think you could have. But we're sitting on $8 million, and I don't know what the purpose is.
No.
I'm not saying spend all the way to the bottom, but I'm saying, we are missing pieces right now.
Especially when them two, they know Dan Quinn and TD, they know they're on the hot seat. They know that it could be the last year. So personally, if that was me, I'd be like, oh, fuck this. I'll go spend it all. Because
may as well run it into the ground.
Obviously, it's about the team, but you obviously want to keep your job. So I'd go for it.
Yeah, well, it's either real. I'm not saying it's all or nothing, but it could potentially be spend that extra money and get the player or so that you need, or don't be in the job. Spend the money. Spend the money.
It's not even your money.
Spend the money. Give yourself a fighting chance. I don't understand. I'm not right. I'm not by any means writing the season off, and I am still.
No.
But when the cap space is available, and the cap is dropping so heavily next year anyway, every team's going to be struggling to readjust the finances. So why not just join the party? I don't understand.
I wonder if they're panicking about the unpredictability of having a team during a pandemic. And I wonder, like, say Julio gets COVID.
Yeah.
And then you have the money to go get another wide receiver or something, like you have that flexibility. It may be that.
Yeah.
Because Dimitrov's not afraid of spending money.
No.
He's not afraid of spending every dime we have on a C-list player. He's proven that time and time again. So yeah. I don't know about that.
It's a very valid call, but it's also a weird one because you'd think that if that was the case, that more teams would be in that scenario. But so many teams are absolutely maxed out on the cap, and like you just said, then we've never been ones to be like holding money back and be brave and just we don't need that. Like we're always like give us everything, and then even though we've got too many players who need big contracts in a year's time, we go we'll deal with that next season, and then we struggle. But
Yep. I don't know if you guys saw this, but in the pressers today, Raheem Morris had a quote that, man, I lost it. He said that he puts the loss on his own shoulders, which, cool, you should. It's because he was so focused on stopping Chris Carson and the run that he didn't give the passing game enough credit. Dude, Russell Wilson is that quarterback. Are you kidding me?
I know sometimes these things are media tactics to take the limelight off the team. So people are going, oh my God, the team was so bad. But no, I cringed heavily when I read that.
I'm like, dude, if you want to ever look like a first-year coordinator who is scared out of his boots, say something like that. You focused on Chris Carson instead of a Hall of Fame quarterback in Russell Wilson.
Exactly.
Well, didn't he get 2 touchdowns anyway? So surely they weren't that much onto him.
The first 2 touchdowns that immediately happened. But to get off the negatives, because good God, the Falcons fan base has been just negative enough for me.
Absolutely.
In the first 5 minutes. Honestly, I saw a lot of really encouraging things out of that game, which sounds really weird.
Rush was one of the best things.
Takk McKinley is that man looks like he wants to play. It's fantastic.
I don't know if the saying exists in America, but he was like shit off a shovel, as in really quick off the mark. And oh my, he looked fast. He was.
That opening play,
like that, ever.
That opening rollout, Russell turns around and he just had full on Takk McKinley on him, man. This is the player that I thought we were getting 3-4 years ago.
And it's a shame that he hasn't shown himself sooner. But if this is a season that he can make that mark when he's got Grady and Fowler doing the exact same thing alongside him, because they were going for it too. They were going hard every single time that they had the ball. I literally was looking so heavily at those 3 players thinking, they're actually going to get him.
Every time.
Literally,
we haven't had that feeling in years.
No.
It's been so in fact, the narrative in my head is, hey, the starting left tackle, left guard, and center are hurt. Atlanta should feast today. No sacks. And flip it around, that's a very elusive quarterback. Russell Wilson's hard to bring down, and they got him 3 times.
Unbelievable.
And they hit him, I think, 10.
3 times fast as well, and it's a shame that we just dropped off, because if you hit him another, say you hit him another 2 times late in the second quarter or early in the third, his head's going. He's starting to wobble a little bit more. And that's when you get them extra seconds where he hesitates and he's throwing the ball poorly. And that's what you need to do. But we didn't quite get there. We got enough to make him think, but we just couldn't keep the. I don't know whether it was the intensity or it's just something didn't click right in the second half at all. But on a positive note, if that happens again in the next game, then I don't see us slipping off like that, because you've seen the standard that we need to be at every single time. In the offensive line.
And I think another positive is, I'm not saying Marlon Davidson is going to be class, but to have him still not playing, it's a positive. If you then bring him in when he's ready, it's like bloody hell when you've got them 4 on the field. If Marlon Davidson does what we think he can do, then
imagine
performing like they are, I think
you've just had
teams will be scared, and that's what we need. I think it's obviously
5 or 6 plays against Fowler, Takk, and Grady, and then they go, wait, let's switch this up a minute, and then there's 6'4", 300-pound Marlon Davidson.
I kept telling myself that over and over, because Tyler Davison is no slouch.
No,
but he's not. But he's not a pass rusher either. He is a run stuffer.
Yeah,
which was what Dontari Poe was for us a couple of years ago. And that's fantastic. But I just kept going like, man, if we get Davidson out there, this will look better. And that'll help AJ Terrell a lot, who by all accounts did quite well. I mean, like, he got burned once or twice. Yeah, he really messed up there at the last. But I mean, he and Oliver actually were showing up there for a little while. And DK Metcalf is massive. He's not an easy cover.
No. I was quietly impressed with him. Obviously, you're not expecting him to be absolutely flawless, especially in your first game. But I've seen enough glimmers to think there's a player there. And I do think that he'll need a little bit extra coaching by some older players, and that's the problem. We've not really got that much more experience around him, even though Denard was on the field playing a bit more nickel sort of and things like that. But I still don't think that's enough of like people to coach him. I know we've got Bray Wilson as well, but you got to hit a high level all the time. So
I feel like I don't know if Sheffield's still out this weekend, but I think it'd be a positive if he does come back personally.
I think
he was out of practice today.
Yeah, I read that one earlier. But even if he gets some snaps, if he's fit enough to get some snaps, I think it would definitely help out. But if we just do literally another minute on, well, the secondary part of it, the pass coverage overall was absolutely. I only watched the highlights, and even I was messaging Johnny. I was just like, where's that? Some of the plays, like some of the highlights were good, but some of them were like, where's the team? Like, it was just. I said it was like headless chickens running around at times, and I thought, and that's not all of it. I'm not having a go at all of the thought. I'm just saying some of the plays I seen was like. I know you've got Wilson throwing it, who's by far one of the best quarterbacks, but some of it was poor.
Well, Danny and I were watching it together, and to be honest with you, man, we were saying the same thing. It wasn't just the highlights. No, for me, what got me more than anything else was like just the shocking jump between the things they can do so well, and then pulling a Falcons and doing the total opposite in the third quarter. That was, and if you looked at Russell Wilson's numbers, oh my God, he didn't miss a pass forever. He also wasn't throwing the ball either. I mean, he was throwing it like 5-6 yards at a time. It was these little dump offs that were going for long runs. And I shut my mouth on that fourth down throw where he threw a 39-yard strike. That was but like it was a lot of short passes.
It was like a turning point, wasn't it? Like, it was,
that was gay. That
29
was
yards. It was just like so far
behind.
I'm
wrong, Danny. I think I sent you a message that said that's the game. That's the play that's going to make us lose.
I think that's it. Yeah, I think you literally worded it exactly like that. I think you put that's the turning point, and the game basically wrote off because we did. I know we weren't great at that point still, but there was still enough leeway in the game to build momentum back. And as soon as they hit that, it was like you're not getting two more scores or two more high scores. Anyway, so there was nothing left. However.
Moving on to the next game, which
there we go, positive.
Cowboys. This is how we move on.
Positive.
move on quickly. But moving on to the Cowboys, who obviously lost their first game 2017 against the Rams. Obviously, we've all watched a bit of the highlights. What's your opinions on it? What do you reckon is going to happen? Obviously, we know the things we've got to improve. One thing I'm going to make a comment on is, I think I mentioned it to Danny when I watched the highlights. I think the Cowboys they're on the fourth down. I think they were losing by 3 points down, but they went for it. And there was only like 15. Personally, for us, it's not too bad, but I would have gone for the 3 points. If the Falcons did that, I think I would have been pissed. I think go for the 3 points and at least even the game up. There was still, I think, 8 minutes left. But obviously, it shows what they can do, but obviously they failed at it anyway.
The kickers were shaky for both teams. Both of them
the whole
missed
weekend,
very makeable.
I think our teams were like, kickers were special in.
So I don't know if he just lost Mike McCarthy, obviously brand new coach for Dallas after being successful and not successful at Green Bay. He did some things really, really well. Dak Prescott actually impressed me several times in this game. But my God, if you stop those little 8-yard comebacks to Amari Cooper, I don't think they have much else. As far as a passing game goes, it's that or it's a swing pass to Zeke every single play.
I know. Yeah, I know. I did notice that. I don't know how many times he caught the ball. I don't know if it was the highest receiver, was it? Or well, obviously he did. I don't know if it was the highest receiver, but I seen him catch quite a few, considering obviously prime running back. But I think that's their main thing, and I think with if that when we mentioned obviously the concentrated on Carson, hopefully.
You can concentrate on Ezekiel Elliott. That's okay.
That's a bit different. He's obviously a lot better. But obviously they've got the passing game, but I think we'll just have to see on this one.
They're very like us, or they looked very like us in the fact that they were very one-dimensional. They had that one style of play, and when they were forced to come out of it, they didn't look comfortable with what they were doing just yet. Yep. Exactly. And I think Morris really has to just drill in on that. Literally just, you've got to take a gamble sometimes, and you might call it that, they're going to go for Zeke or something, and they might not 1 out of 10 times, but 9 out of 10 times they're going to go straight for him at the moment because they're not happy with what they're doing this early on in the season. It'll click at some point, but it's not yet. And I think it's a good time to play them, to be honest with you. Like, it'll be because come mid-season, I think that they could hit the ball, like they could get the ball rolling, but
their style of play is fascinating to me, and I don't know if it's just Mike McCarthy being not used to his team yet, but they're stacked. I mean, Dak Prescott's not a bad quarterback. No, Zeke obviously is Zeke. Pollard, his backup, is actually a really, really nice running back. You've got Amari Cooper. You have CeeDee Lamb, the rookie, who looked really well. You got all these pieces, and all of a sudden I look up and I go, dude, we're throwing these 8-yard comebacks to Amari Cooper every single play. When they were letting Zeke do his thing in the beginning, they looked scary. And honestly, my biggest note watching that game, the defensive line has to hit him. They have to hit Dak. Like, you can't just get close enough. Like, he will run for first. He ran for like a 15-yard, like 3rd and 15 first down.
Yeah.
Like, you can't. You have to hit him. I
mean, Dak's like a stocky guy as well. So you need to make an impact on him early days, because it'll have an even bigger impact than it will on more people, like the most quarterbacks, because when a man like that hits the floor, it hurts a hell of a lot more than when someone so.
I get that. And I don't know if you guys noticed or saw this, but their middle linebacker broke his collarbone. Van Der Esch is out for 6 to 8 weeks.
I believe so. Obviously, we never want players to be injured or anything like that.
No.
However,
but, that being said, he's a big hole to fill on their defense.
Yes,
exactly. So I hope he recovers, but at the same time, it's ideal for our situation at the moment in time when we're not fully confident. We need any little break that we can get, and that's pardon the pun there. That was not intentional.
I do think it's one of them. It's going to be a game that I think they expect. I think a lot of their fans expected to win their first game, and I think a few of ours. I think the hype was so. Obviously, we've only been fans for 2 years. I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. But the hype this year seems more than last year. But I don't know if that's just because we're obviously talking. We have this account and we're talking to more people, but the hype does seem more than usual. And I think the Cowboys hype still does. But our hype was like
every single year.
So quick.
Every year, Cowboys fans are convinced they're going to the Super Bowl. So this is not abnormal for them at all.
But I think they'll definitely, obviously, with both losses, they'll definitely be up for it, like every team would be anyway. But I think it's one of the games where I think I had us down for a loss for this one, but I had us a win for the first one. So if we switch it around, I won't complain too much. But I think it's, even though it's a second game, it's a massive game, because it's the second game against another. I think they will win their division personally, if they end up clicking like they should. But it's one of them where we have to, I'm not saying you still got 14 games after it. I'm not saying you have to win, but it's one of them where you got to prove yourself again. Yeah, like halfway through the Seahawks game, we sort of bailed out, and that was it. They was up by 20, so the game's over by like. If we end up losing this in the last kick of the game, you can you're still going to be pissed off, but at least you're in the game. A lot of the games last year, a lot of the games last year, the 1-for-7, we was in at half time, was beating the Texans, and we then conceded like 30 points in the second half. If you're in the game longer, obviously, I think we'll end up winning them. That's the difference. I think gets to the fourth quarter and we're really close, I think we'll be on top of most teams. I think it's just.
I think we're misleadingly competitive as well sometimes, though, because Matt Ryan's got such a good passing game. When we're so far behind, every time he's pinging the ball, the yards rack up very, very high, and I don't know. It's just we need to get an early footing, because if we end up, we just cannot drop a 1-7 again. I'll be sick if we drop a 1-7 again, or anything even close to that. I will just pack it in.
For me, what's killer is, all of a sudden, and I love hearing this, by the way, Atlanta has a 3-headed monster at wide receiver, right?
Yes.
That's what they keep saying, 3-headed monster. 3 guys over 100 yards. Calvin Ridley looked like a stud.
Yeah.
Great. Almost all of that happened in garbage time when Seattle started backing off.
Unfortunately.
There is no reason why they can't do that in the first quarter. There's absolutely none. It's just that I think at some point Cutter and Dan Quinn have to have a conversation where they go, are you going to let me be the offensive coordinator that I am, the one that you hired, or do you want a Kyle Shanahan replica? Because frankly, those guys exist. Sean McVay is from the same coaching tree. I don't know if you guys know a lot about that or not. I actually read an article today to double check myself. But Kyle, Sean McVay, and I'm losing the name. I'm losing the third one. It was Matt LaFleur, who was our quarterback coach during the Super Bowl run. All of those 3 guys worked under Mike Shanahan, Kyle's dad, and they all kind of took that offense and did their own thing with it. That's what was heartbreaking about watching the Dallas game is you see a ghost of what Atlanta was in 2016. It's that offense. It's getting the run game going. It's actually doing the play action the right way.
Yeah.
And that's basically, if you wanted that, man, go get Matt LaFleur before he becomes a head coach. Why are we taking someone who's known for running 4 verts and trying to make him run an outside zone scheme? It doesn't make any sense.
No.
I'm hoping they find some kind of identity, or let Matt start calling the plays, for God's sakes.
We also mentioned this, Greg. So to all of our listeners, me and Greg will message him throughout the majority of the last game because we needed to vent somehow.
God, that was so necessary.
And so one of our calls was, you can almost tell when Matt Ryan takes over. And I don't know whether it's just my eyes telling me that that's the case, but it looks like every now and again, Matt ignores whatever he's being told and very, very quickly, within 1, 2, 3 seconds, has already told everyone the play that he's playing, regardless of what he's being told. And every time that happens, it's a big drive.
Yep.
Like, it looks so successful and so, instinctive. Instead of it being forced and something that's had to be coached, it looks like, right, Jones is making that route. Calvin's doing his absolute mad things where he just does what he wants and goes all over the place. And then Gage goes and hurdles a man in the middle. And it just happens so quickly when he's making the calls, or when I think he is. And that's the kind of instinct you want to see. You don't want everything to be overthought, because when you overthink, you second guess yourself. And that's when the players start doubting, thinking, why has he just told us to do that play? And why is it taking him so long to call it? And so it sit right with me.
Matt's always been known for running the no huddle really, really well. And I think that was actually a point of contention with Kyle Shanahan for a while, because Kyle's supposed to be the offensive genius. And, that's why he refused to let Matt do that most of the time. But I mean, it's true. Whenever he gets the no huddle and Matt's just looking at the field and calling things, things work. Yeah. He's like, honestly, I would be just fine with give Matt the first quarter of this game. Yeah, let him call everything. Let's see where we're at.
Yeah.
It can't be much worse.
And then when we're 28 up, then it's fine.
Then Dirk Cutter is fired, and we pay Matt Ryan like an OC. No, how are you guys feeling about it overall, though? So, I think this is your first experience with all the negativity of this fan base, right?
It is. So, obviously, we've tried to keep this channel as positive as possible and eyes up. Obviously, this show in particular is a little bit negative because we've just come out of a losing game.
We're still laughing. We're fine.
Yeah, exactly. We're laughing through the tears. When we were posting after the game and trying to be positive and pick out, so Gage had a good game, good numbers, everything like this. And all these players, like Gurley started off well, Hurst showed little glimpses of what he can do, Tack improved. We were being slammed with, yeah, but this was wrong. Yeah, but this was wrong. Yeah, but this was wrong. It's like, yeah, but every team has something wrong. The only team that's not had something wrong with them in the last 10 years is the Patriots. That's it. And even they've had the little problems in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So I just think that we need to start looking at what we're doing well and just emphasising that, because I just get stressed out if I'm too negative about a game. If I sat there and thought about all the bad things, I'd still be mad now. And that's why I can laugh through it, because I'm thinking, I'm positive about the Cowboys, and I do think we'll win. I know I thought we'd win the last game, and I do think this one will be close again. But I'm very comfortable that I do think we'll win it, even if it's only a one-score game again. I've got a lot of faith in us to. They've got Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson does a hell of a lot more than most quarterbacks in the league. So
that's very true.
So even though Dak's a great player, it's not the same by any standard whatsoever. So
he doesn't have the same pedigree.
Yeah, if you took out literally one or two mistakes in the game, it's instantly a closer game. So
yeah.
I know, like Oliver let that guy go and he got a touchdown. If he didn't it was his fault completely. But if he didn't let that go, you saw back in the game. So it's like, if you watch teams that are winning, I've got it on now. The Saints obviously beat the Bucs. Well, they probably made mistakes, but because the Bucs were because the Saints won, the fans don't care. We don't care. If we won, we don't care. You don't really look at the negatives as much. But going into this game, I think obviously it's a massive game, and I think if we might as well end on a couple of predictions each. Whoever gets closest. Danny can go first.
Right, we'll go score, offensive player of the game, and defensive player of the game. So I'll take score-wise, I'm struggling. I'm gonna go for something dead close. I'm gonna go for like a 28-21 or something along those lines. I really do think it'll be a one-play game. I hope it's not, because if we're in that scenario and there's a minute or 2 minutes to go, I will be sweating heavily.
Yep.
For my offensive player of the game, I'd be very shocked if Jones doesn't walk away. I know it's dead predictable, but Jones doesn't take it again. Whilst we're still bedding in and other players are still getting to grips with our style of play and it's early on in the season, I think he's just a reliable man that he'll keep going to. I think over the season it'll be passed about, and I think Gurley will step up a lot more, but until we sort that run game out, I don't think so. And then defensive, I could go any of the pass rushers. I could go any of them. I'm going to go Tack again.
Tack's fired up, man.
He's ready to go. He's ready to go. Go on, Greg, your shout.
Oh, crap. All right. I'm happy to jump up. I'm thinking there is no way in God's green earth that we don't stall out at some point and have to kick a field goal. So I don't think it's going to be a 28, because I think we've got to get the 3 points in there somewhere to throw us off. I'm thinking something like a 31-28 win. I think that it's going to take a bigger offensive push. I think it's going to take 30 points to beat them. I really do.
Yeah.
Offensive player of the game. Honestly, I'm thinking Calvin Ridley is going to keep riding high. 2 touchdowns, great place to start.
He's well on for it. What was his first season was 10 touchdowns, and the last season was 7 touchdowns despite missing games. So he's well on course for that already.
I think
figures this season.
It's got to be awesome to be the wide receiver 2 to Julio Jones, man. Like getting doubled and tripled, and then you're by yourself in a corner. It's got to be great. And defensive player of the game, I'm gonna go Keanu Neal. I think he's going to have to, like, I didn't see him last game. It's not like he used to.
No, not heavily.
He used to have those hits that made me like hurt. And I think it's going to take everybody, but I think he's going to have to get on Zeke a good bit during this game. So that's my go-to.
I'm going to go with 30-24. I think we'll miss obviously one extra point wise. That's why I'm going to go for the
good call.
It'll be a close goal. Close game. I'm actually going to go for Matt Ryan. Obviously, we know he got the yardage last time, but that was more due to you chasing the game, etc. But I think this game he'll get less yardage, but I think he'll get a couple more touchdowns, and I think his accuracy, everything will be better in this one. Personally, if the O-line steps up as it can.
What was weird The O-line was, I know, sorry, just going off topic a little bit. The O-line didn't scare me that much. I actually felt all right with them for quite a lot of the game. Like, a lot of the time I was looking and I was going, no one's even near him. But then every now and again, we just had a little blip and you thought, that's not enough time to make a call where he's had to.
He got sacked once? Is that right?
Yeah.
One time? I mean, good God, he got sacked 48 times or some crap last year.
Exactly.
So that's already a big jump.
Oh, definitely.
What does that average at? About 4 to 5 times a game? 4 times a game.
Depending, yeah. So, but at the same time, they were stacking the box. I mean, stacking the box. And they were sending Jamal Adams on a blitz like once every 4 plays. They're not the Cowboys are not going to do that.
No.
They're just not.
No. They don't
I think he'll have
to do that like Jamal. He was. I don't like overhyping other teams' players too much, but oh my God, he was like
a man-child, man.
If I've ever seen a player with a point to prove, that was the absolute perfect version of a man with a point to prove. It was awesome.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll go for Matt Ryan. I think his accuracy will be more because obviously you're not playing against Jamal Adams, who's etc. and he is running about 150 miles an hour or whatever he's doing that. So I think he'll get slightly more time on the ball, and I think obviously we got 3 wide receivers who got Gage is going to smash it again, and I don't think obviously they won't get as the yardage as they were last game, but we won't need them to. I think defensively, I'm probably just going to go for Fowler this time. I think he stepped up in the first game, and I think he'll carry on.
The sack that he got, I thought he was going to get flagged. Like, honestly, it looked like he hit Russell straight in the mouth, and I was like, oh.
It did, but I'll take that, seeing as there was some helmet-on-helmet action later on that didn't get given. So I'll take one when it goes both ways.
For sure. I got to just drop this in, by the way. I know we got our predictions in. I just want to say I appreciate you guys holding on to any level of opposite of negative. I don't know that positive is the word, but just there have been times in past seasons, not so much in the last couple years, just because when you start 1-7, man, I start just kind of walking in like apathetic. Like I'll watch, but it's going to be sad.
Yeah.
But the fan base is so starved for what was literally ripped out of our hands in 2016.
Yeah.
And I'm not defending the negativity because I don't agree with it, but it's there. Yeah. And I'm just saying, like, I'm so happy that this fandom has reached you guys so far away. And I don't want the negativity to bring you down, so I'll be there on Sundays to message you guys. Not this Sunday. I have to watch the game on replay.
Nah.
But I will be there to message you guys. I want this positivity to keep going because our time is coming. Whether or not it be this year, it's coming.
We'll keep the positivity up as long as we can. But when you catch us mid-season and we're doing the show, and I'm sat here with tears streaming down my face, we've probably cracked at that point. touch wood, it doesn't get to that stage, and I'm feeling that we're going to be 1-1 after this weekend. So I've got a comfortable amount of faith in that.
Well, depending on how this makes you feel, I did read the stupid stat that Matt Ryan has never gone 0-2.
Oh, I seen that.
His entire career.
Why would you say that, and why would you read that?
Because I'm so frustrated that I had to read that today. It's just like last year. All I heard about was Matt Ryan doesn't get hurt. Matt Ryan doesn't get hurt, and by God, he got hurt. You know. But it is true though. They have found a way to pull out a win, even last year, out of their tails at the last second to make sure they don't go 0-2. So.
I think we should be all right. I really do. And I'm not saying it's going to be an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. But we've definitely got the firepower in the offense and the defense to shut this game up. So I don't know. It's just I'm just looking down at the Bucs now and everyone else. That's the only problem. Like, even if I know it's only early days, but even if you win, the only not positive. Again, we don't like players getting injured, but Michael Thomas is out for a little while.
You got to take advantage of it while the Saints are at because like we did not do last year, by the way, when the Saints went 5-0 without Drew Brees, which was irritating.
Exactly. So,
but I got to drop the one good positive news that isn't a jinx. In the 16 Super Bowl run after the first game when they lost to Tampa Bay, they literally looked like the same team that went 8-8 the year before in the first game. They looked horrible. It was just forcing the ball to Julio, couldn't run the ball, everything else. And on game 2, everything changed. So I'm just saying it can happen. It has happened, and it will happen.
we've got that sign, and we've got election year Matt, and we've got everything else.
Everything's building us up.
So yeah, we all seem pretty confident and reasonably positive as far as Falcons fans go. Seeing as it is, I can imagine after a long time of supporting them, it must get pretty hard. But
it does. But you just gotta find out the accounts you don't need to follow on Twitter during the season. And that's your easiest move.
But yeah, we'll wrap the show up tonight, everyone. It was a reasonably actually we've gone over a little bit more than we were going to, but it's so easy to keep the ball rolling. So thank you for Greg for coming on. Would you like to plug your page by any chance? I know we'll put it in our tweets and everything. I know you're not running at the minute, but
we're on a bit of a hiatus right now. But yeah, because David, my co-host, actually just went back to finish his last year in at Florida, University of Florida. He's an engineering student. He's got a lot on his mind right now. A lot that's way above my pay grade, so I understand. But yeah, if you guys want to follow us, it's @OutOfOur_league on Twitter and Instagram, and we're gonna jump in and do some mini-sodes every now and then. But that's pretty much where we're at.
Well, like we've said, Greg's going to be pretty much a regular participant in our show as often as we can get him on now. So anytime that he's got the free opportunity, we're jumping in. Me and Calla are pretty much done with just recording episodes with us too, because it gets harder and harder, and you need someone else to fill the gaps. So yeah, the more guests we can get on, and obviously we seem to just keep rolling when us three are talking. So we'll get you back on probably as soon as we have a show that's worth talking about, really.
Hopefully it's this time next week when we're talking about how we put up 45 points.
Exactly. So yeah, thank you for watching, everyone, or thank you for listening. If you're on the podcast, we will still be putting it on there, and get in touch with us when it's game day on Sunday, and we will talk about ball. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.